Yo, bro, I'm now struggling with making bass composition. Most of my projects are like having drum and intro to build up. I want to know about how to tweak the bass. So I wanted to know how to 808 as a main bass as a composition. Can you give me some advices on how to approach that step, bro? Alright, brother. Looks like you need help with some basses and stuff. So first of all, I'm going to show you my way, how I do it, and it's gonna be a bit like it's gonna be a bit lame, or like you will think that I can't sound design, but this is the fastest way, and this is how I do the basses, how I work with the bass. So what I do, for example, here in this project, I'm gonna give you a little taste of how the bass sounds here in this project. So the first thing you need to realize is that the bass sounds are actually on a range of a spectrum somewhere here. So the bass is actually built, or can be built from three sections. So the one bass can be basically can take whole spectrum of your sound. That's why we use sidechain to sidechain the drums through the bass, because usually the bass is the most loudest thing that will kind of interrupt all the other sounds that you're trying to put the bass with. So here in this project, what I do is that I use Splice for a lot of my basses. But I do not leave them as they are. You can see that I have a vocoder, some EQ, reverb, and glue compressor here on my bass. So the big thing, and what I'm using recently, is this vocoder thing. And so yeah, to understand the bass, you can see this is kind of like a fundament of the bass. So when I open the EQ, you can also kind of read from the EQ that the bass is on a note D. So basically the whole track is going to be in note D. And yeah, that's it. And also what you can see here in this 384 hertz is kind of another fundament, which is more of a key setter, right? So bass is usually, this is sub bass. So the sub bass is usually somewhere here. You can see it from 0 to 100 hertz. From 100 to 1K, you usually have these melodic parts of basses, and from 1K to 10K, you usually work with high end and with the tip of the basses. So this is like fundamentally, you need to understand this before you work with a bass, that the bass is actually made from three layers, or can be made from 3 layers or more, but it's usually 3. And I use a lot of splice sounds for my basses because it saves time, because I can do sound design on my C room or whatever. I can do it, but I'm not that type of a guy. I usually work with idea, and I want to progress in the track. I don't want to spend time on sound design. That's why I rather buy some sample packs or do this. So but the one thing that I always do with my basses, I don't only use the sound from a splice, I also put some processing on the bass. So here, when I shut down the vocoder, you will hear a pretty interesting thing happening here with this bass. So it's kind of like a distorted open, but when I put vocoder, like straight away you have really different bass, like crazy different in the bass, and together with this another sound which is kind of like in that 100k to 1k range. I created this kind of a layer bass, which is super nice. And yeah, this vocoder, when you will play with the vocoder with these settings, you want to enhance the vocoder, you want to put it on a stereo or left and right. You can also put it on mono if you want, but you can hear it's crazy difference when you put your bass on the mono. So stereo and left and right is more for the bass. It's like more, it's gonna be more beneficial because it depends on the bass. You wanna leave the sub bass on the mono. You wanna leave the sub bass on the mono, but everything else from the 100k to 10k can be on a stereo. The only problem when you have a stereo bass is when you are in a club and you play the track. What can happen is that the bass can phase and you can kind of like destroy your bass, so there will be no sub bass in the club. Also for everybody, I have a coffee here today with me, so everybody who is enjoying a cup of a coffee today, enjoy it with me. Alright, so this is the bass. This is the kind of like a basic explanation of a bass, and you want to keep this range from 0 to 100. You want to keep it mono, like for real. And then I put the vocoder, I enhance the vocoder. You need to switch to modulator, and then what you want to do is to tweak the depth, tweak the release. You can tweak the format. You can kind of get rid of the high end, or you can get like a crazy high end. You can play with the release. It depends on the taste of your track, and also you can play with the bends. You can do 40 bands, but you can hear that you are sacrificing the low end, the booster of the low end, which I don't know why is this function so good why is this vocoder so good on a bass, but it really does do work. So this is one thing with a bass. So you brother told me here that you struggle with making bass composition. Most of my brothers are like having drum into build up. I want to know how to tweak the bass, plus wonder how to 808. So this is one type of a bass. You basically just took the sample and then you tweak it how you want. I think I have a pretty interesting idea here. Let's see if I can show you what I was working on, if I can remember. It's the Last Wish Rhythm Masterclass Spirit Rules Project. Ah, damn. I should probably prepare, but I have really interesting idea here. This is the beats. Nope. What is this? The masterclass project. Yep, maybe this is the masterclass one. So I'm not gonna save this one. Yep. Listen to this bass here.
Love when you feel like it. Only wanna love when it feels right. I don't even want it. Call me when you need it. Call me when you need
So here, this bass is basically just composition and layering of free sounds. And And the main bass is probably this one. And you can see it's a serum and it's a preset, and I just kind of like tweak bunch of knobs to kind of find this bass. I'm not gonna go into depth how is it created, because I'm not that much of a sound design guy. I'm really trying to utilize the sounds, but you can see that this bass is pretty nice. And then what you can do with this bass is that you can layer it with another sounds. So I think this serum was created by me. Yeah, it's just a super simple, basic oscillator A, oscillator B. One is so it's basically just a synth, but you need to understand that you can combine and you can glue your basses together with these high-end sounds. So when I will look on a main, I will only solo this two and drop EQ here. What we will see. So I'm creating a lot of resonance with this downside sound, but together with the bass, it's kind of like resonating together. So yeah, one thing that I would recommend using is using a spectrum, something like a millimeters or something like an EQ, so you can see what is your sound doing, and you can kind of create your fundaments, or you can kind of understand where all the things is. So I can only see the sound, and I know the is here in this frequency. The bass and the 808, the fundament of the bass, like that the bass that's gonna play in a club really loud is here. That's the sub bass, and this is like a sub bass. This is like the harmonic part of the sub bass. This is like the part and fundament of the second sound, and these other things here are kind of like the resonators. So this is kind of like an explanation of a basis and how you should probably think about them. Really like imagining it in your head or using a spectral imager is gonna help you a lot on this journey to understand the basis. What I like to do is, yeah, kind of don't save. What I like to do is that I bring samples from Splice or whatever, and just trying to combine them together. I don't know why I just opened this one, but I'm looking for one project that I did. I think it's Angelize, yeah. And this is one pretty interesting bass here. I want to show you because this one is gonna be brutal. So this is like another thing. Without all the processing, without the vocoder, without the corpus. Come on, corpus. So I just found like a Splice sample. I think this is like a virtual riot something. And you can hear it's a bit distorted, it's a bit like not really quality sample. And what I did here, I put a vocoder. So the vocoder kind of crush that sound together. It's kind of build that sound together, and then I renable corpus. And this is really interesting part of what you can try to do also with your basses is to put corpus on and play with these buttons that I play here. And what you can achieve is this kind of a long tail bass. So that's pretty interesting on a corpus that you can kind of create from a one-shot bass. You can kind of create these tails, which are pretty interesting. And I think they go really, really dope. So this is kind of like another technique you can use for your bass. It's basically just corpus and vocoder. So these probably most use plugins in Ableton, free to use. For vocals or mid samples, I use them for the basses because the bass is the complex sound, right? It's taking whole spectrum. Just with this one sound, I'm able to take like a whole spectrum of my song. So that's also one pretty interesting thing. And I want to create a new set. I'm not gonna don't save it. Let's go. 174, and you've told me that you want to learn how to use A.ways in your thing. So again, I'm gonna find my own 808s library samples on a Splice. You can find thousands, millions of 808s. I just save time with this. Like honestly, who wants to create a project with sound design? If you have time for that, if you are the person who likes to create his own sounds, by all means do it. I just save time. I just want to create music. I want to play the tunes on the festivals. Like the sound design is great, but I really like to experiment, like sound designing with the. I'm a sample guy, honestly. So yeah, that's everything. What I wanted to say. So 808. What you want is some good 808, which will gonna fit your song. And then what you want to do is you wanna unwarp it, and you wanna find a rhythm. So for example, we can go like this, boom shin dun 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 dun. So it's like a triplet. It's triplet one. Something like this. Am I doing it right? So one thing that you can straight away notice on an 808 and samples like this is that there is a click, and that click usually comes from this tail. When the sample is like cut straight on the amplitude, it's gonna do this click. So when you just do this with the tail, and you kind of give it a bit of space, it should not click anymore. Yep, I expected. So yeah, use these clicks, or you know, when you're sidechaining, you have these clicks. It can kind of go through the song. You can hear that here that the clicks are there, and it's not that clean. The sound is not that clean. But with the 808, what you can do, you can put a saturator, and that's what I usually do. I put saturator. You can use like a clip, and then what you can do with the saturator is use drive, and you can kind of like open the sound or open the bass. So you just click drive and just animate from here to here, maybe something here. you kind of like automate the opening of the bass. You can maybe start more sooner. Also, what you can put on an 808 is something like erosion. So when you want to add that high end to your sound, you can add erosion. You can play with this width. And next thing what you can add is like a breath. So you can add like a breath. Something like this. You can drop it here. Bam, Complex Pro, Prask, let's go. Drop it like this. And you... And next thing what we want to add is just add a snare. And you kind of start to add different things. I don't want to go like through whole. I think I have a sample here that I like to use. I think this one is going to work pretty nice. Like this. Every second. Let's go. And then what else you need to add is just a bunch of percussions and hi-hats, and everything is going to distort together. Yep. And you can create pretty easy sounding drop or idea just from the 808s. Super fast, super easy. And then with that 808, kind of like a distorting with that saturator. So the saturator is taking a lot of space, or it's gonna take a lot of space, especially when it's opening up, because it's going to 35 decibels. So it's kind of like it's gonna take a whole spectrum of a sound. What you can do is that you can drop a serum again. You can leave it as an int preset. You put some reverb on, right? And you can start drawing and creating some interesting idea. Yeah, and you gotta get an 808 drop. You can what you can do, you can take those 808s and maybe pitch it a bit. Or drop it down. And that's kind of it. Then honestly how I work with the 808s, that's how I work with the basses. So yeah, with the basses what you can do is you can find like some super cool easy step here. So you maybe type a bass, you go to your library and you only specifically choose one shots of a bass. So there's like this kind of a shots kind of works pretty good with the vocoder and with that corpus technique, for example. So I'm just gonna put it down here. I'm gonna open a vocoder, and you can hear now it's on a noise, so you need to switch it to modulator. You need to do four bands. You can kind of close it or open it. You can play with depth. Straight away you got like a pretty cool sounding hit. You can like open it, and then what you can do, you can drop that corpus on. You can find tube, for example. You're gonna tune it. Now you can start kind of like playing with the pitch. And you can create like some interesting sounds. And when you put like a reverb on, you can create like pretty interesting and sounding drops, maybe for dubstep. Ding ding dong, ding ding dong. So you're gonna create like a rhythm. Yeah, we just take this, you reuse it. And you can create whatever you want. You can play with this decay, so it's gonna like you're gonna automate the decay, and you're gonna like automate it like this. Right? And you can play with the bass, and I think this like vocoder corpus thing together with some saturator or compressor or glue compressor can work really great on a basis. And this is basically like the explanation of my bass. I can create some bass in a serum, but what I usually use serum for is a good solid sub bass. So when I want to layer sounds and I know this sound here, when I'm gonna see the spectrum, you're gonna see it has everything. Like it has body, it has tip, it has 808, or the sub bass. Sub bass is here. got the melodic part, the resonance, right? Only thing that lacks is kind of like a high end, but you don't usually need that for bass. Right? And the only thing that I use serum for is usually for sub bass. So I usually just do this 1, 2, 3. I found this analog synth, and here when you go down, you can get pretty solid sounding sub bass. So what I do with this sub bass is that I usually layer this sub bass under some sounds or some middle sounds that need the sub bass fundament. So this sub bass is always going to be mono, right? This is what you want for a bassist, is that this is going to make the difference in a club. And I think for a bass video, I think this is a really nice explanation of how I do it, how I see the situation with the bassist. If you have any more questions about the bassist, or if you have any different tactics how to improve on a bass, also for me, also for you, let us know down in the comments. Thank you so much for being here, and yeah, see you in the next one. Hope I help you, bro. Hope I help you ping pong balls. Yep, see you in the next one. Peace.